Hey, everybody, welcome back to another edition of Revisit. And again, I had the pleasure to talk to our next guest on a podcast a few months back and figured there's no way we can start looking into the upcoming spring season. By the way, happy first day of practice to everybody out there. But I had to bring this guy in, head coach of the Phillips Wildcats, Troy McAllister, joining us. And it's finally here, my friend. For a long time, I didn't think we'd see this day for these seniors. I didn't think it was going to happen. And yet here we are. And I honestly didn't think you would be along for the ride whatsoever. Yet here are you. You're here with us. So, again, just good to see you. Hope you're doing well. And the first day of practice, believe it or not, is upon us.
Yeah. Thanks, Edgy, for having me on. It is an exciting time. And obviously, when CPS announced we were going to get spring sports, we were ecstatic. And then it's just been a mad scramble the last 2 days to get everything done that CPS wants done. But we're in a good spot and we're ready to roll today.
So where are we at as far as I know we were talking a little bit about scheduling, so things sound like they're progressing along that way. It's going to be a 5-game schedule. Am I correct?
Yeah, so we're going to start a week later than the rest of the state. So March 26th is I think the first opening day for CPS games.
Okay.
And we're just playing our conference schedule.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that makes all the sense in the world, the way the conferences are laid out. So before we get into that, it's been an incredibly crazy year plus, and even more so for you and everyone at Phillips. My good friend, your good friend, unfortunately, Coach Larson passed away suddenly. Shocker to all of us, and to you. He was your good friend, and obviously your DC. And how are you doing? How is the team doing? And I can't imagine a day like today. I know I thought about him, and you had to think about him as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're super excited for today, but it's going to be emotional. But it's all part of the healing process for the young men in the program and the coaches and anyone that knows our new Coach Larson. These are the moments he lived for, so we're going to embrace it. And obviously, our shortened spring season and next year, there's going to be a lot of remembrance of Coach Larson and a lot of the players playing for him.
And I mean, even more so a celebratory team for you and your guys, because let's face it, you didn't have fall contact days. You've had very, very little contact whatsoever with your kids, and that's got to be exciting for you and for them.
Yeah, I mean, we had 3 contact days in July, and that's it. We haven't been able. CPS has not allowed us to have any contact with the young men in person. So we've had weekly Google Meets, and they've been great. And obviously the playbook install the last few weeks after the governor announced that we were going to have the potential for a season. But today will literally be the first time, other than for Coach Larson's service. I saw a few of the guys, but the first time I've seen most of them in a long, long time.
How do you keep a team together and invested during a pandemic? How'd you pull it off?
There was moments where you're kind of just like, hey, we're not having a season, and you get down. But in the end, it's all about the kids, the young men, and you have to focus on that and let them know, like, hey, whatever they need, you're here for them. So even those weekly Google Meets, the attendance would fluctuate at times, but then you just reach out to them and let them know, like, hey, we want you there, we need you to be there, and then even with Coach Larson's passing, that did bring us together. A lot of the guys really need to lean on each other more than anything, and guys were able to do that. And through Google Meet, it's not as personal as you'd like, but it was still a way to have contact.
Something, yeah. It's something. Academic, a struggle for a lot of kids. All online learning. I mean, you guys have been fully online the whole year, and it looks like you're going to finish up this year online. How much have you spent? And I know you already are a second father to a lot of these kids, but I mean, how much more involved have you been from, making sure they're taking care of that stuff on the academic side? You're just checking up on your kids.
I think our school's done a really nice job of staying active with the kids in the building or the students in the building. And I see a lot of the varsity players in my PE classes, so that's nice as well. They still got to check in daily to see me in class, and it's a struggle, like from just connection issues to lack of laptops and Chromebooks. I know CPS talks about all they've done, and they have done a lot in terms of getting resources out, but there's still students that don't have.
Yeah.
We have a couple students in the building that we're literally just getting fully connected, whether it's an improved hotspot or improved connection. It's just so many variables. And the big thing is just for the young men, it was just a push of like, hey, at the end of the day, it's not perfect, but in order to play football, you got to stay eligible. You need the academic piece. The guys going to college that want to go to college, that want to go to play college football, it's a little easier. It's the ones that not so much, because, how do you keep them engaged? And it doesn't matter where you go to school in the state. There's kids that go to school to play football.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that was a real struggle to keep engaged. And you just hope. We're lucky to have one of the first times, I'll say, a late semester. So the young men had the opportunity to get stuff where they needed it to be in terms of academically before the end of the semester, so that they are eligible for this season.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to imagine, and you mentioned between Google Meets and being able to keep track of them online, they're probably a much different looking group now than the last time you saw them. And I'm hoping from a positive standpoint, meaning, look, they've had very limited, if any, access to weight rooms. Is that a big concern of yours as well right now, just where they're at physically and if they're ready to get going for a season?
Yeah, so we had planned out for the whole time that we've been remote, which since last March, we've actually mapped out home body weight workouts, but there's only so much you can do with that and before boredom sets in. And I misspoke earlier. We did have equipment pickup this weekend, so I did get to see the majority of the guys on the weekend. And it's funny, they talk about the Frosh 15, but some of these guys, I'm like, this is the pandemic 20. Some put on 20 pounds in a great way. You can see they've been grinding. And some guys, I'm just like, gosh, we got
like us.
Yeah. I mean, and it's hard to blame a kid. You're inside all day long and you get bored. And what do you do? When you're bored, you eat. So, we got some work to do. The extra week to prepare isn't going to be a bad thing in terms of conditioning. And you got to be mindful of that as well. Like, while a lot of guys have really been busting their butts to stay in shape and make gains, some haven't. So we have to be mindful of that in practice to not, we've already talked as a staff, we're going to limit conditioning and just go with the practice flow and allow the kids to get in shape naturally without any extra push. And obviously, as they start to get some type of conditioning back, then maybe we can push them a little bit more.
So that obviously is going to be an early approach from your standpoint. What's the approach to these 6 games? Is it, obviously you want to win every game. You want your seniors to get quality time, and even maybe the seniors that weren't full-time starters and contributors. I'm sure you want to get them as much playing time as well. But I got to imagine you talked about having a young group, and in some ways, Troy, this is like spring we had always hoped for, where you can get a lot of kids work and get them ready for a turnaround in 2-3 months after the season for an eventual fall. Is that kind of what your approach is going to be?
Yeah, I think initially we want to get seniors some film, the guys that are still looking for homes, and give them an opportunity to play and enjoy their senior year. But in the same sentence, you also got to develop our juniors for next year. A lot of them have not played varsity before. I think we only had one sophomore last year that played significant minutes, and Damian Thomas. The rest are brand new to varsity football, other than some mop-up duty. So now it's about getting them developed. We really like our junior class. There's a bunch of talent, but now it's getting them varsity time. And then obviously, that's key to our spring as well, is development. So we've just got to approach it that way. I think, yes, wins are important, but I think you'll see a little bit of platooning on our end to say, hey, we're not that we're trying to lose or anything like that, but our development is more important than
that. Yeah. Has the roster changed? I can't remember. Did you have any kids that graduated early? Are all your seniors back? What's the roster kind of looking like?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have anybody graduate early. It's difficult in CPS without online classes. So I'm a firm believer you try to finish out high school. It's the last time football is gonna be fun for you. It becomes very much so a job at the next level. So our 3 Division I guys from this year are all back and scheduled to play. But I do need to have some real serious conversations with those guys, just in terms of making sure that they understand that they're probably not going to get as much playing time as they think.
Yeah. Rest of the roster, who are some kids we need to keep an eye on? Maybe some up and coming kids that we need to look out for this spring. Who would those kids be?
Yeah, I think I'll speak more specifically to our junior class. I think it starts obviously with Tyler Turner at quarterback. It's his first time in the varsity level. He's super talented. He's by far the most talented QB we've had at this point in his career. And we're excited to let him take over. And then, go on the offensive line, you got Damian Thomas, who's returning starter at left tackle. And you add 6'6" Jalen Caldwell to our right tackle. And all of a sudden your O-line, we lost 4 seniors, but it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
And skill wise, you've got Kyle Clayton at running back, who is athletically uber talented. I mean, just an unbelievable talent athletically. And then Avante Savage at wide receiver, who's almost like a Fabian McRae clone in his ability just to go get the ball, tall, long, athletic.
As far as you mentioned younger, I mean, it's been hard enough just to keep your kids on board and keep them together. What about those lower levels? I mean, kind of what's the plan for them? And I mean, have you been able to keep like any kind of freshman group together during all this? Because it's been a struggle for everybody.
Yeah, that's been the one thing that we've kind of been worried about, is just like the lower level. But we did our equipment for our younger guys yesterday for the freshmen and the sophomores, and we had good numbers. And we've had quite a few freshmen actually sign up and register and get everything taken care of. So I'm hoping by we'll be between 25 and 30 total freshmen, which is great. We like to hit 30. Yeah. But for not being in person and not having met some of these young men, that's a big step forward. And, coaches always talk about looking in your own hallway to find kids, but, one of our other coaches teaches freshman PE. So he sees literally just be like, hey, ask the kids in class who wants to play football. And in a remote world, that was our way to get freshmen more.
Yeah. Such a weird time. That's another aspect of it. It's like, you virtually bumped into them in the hallway, and it's just, it's absolutely crazy. It's always tough being an assistant coach, and being an assistant coach in a public league has its challenges, as you well are aware. I mean, being a head coach, that, and being an assistant, I mean, you got to be just thrilled with the staff you have with you over at Phillips, and talk about how important they've been to you during this entire process, not even including obviously the situation with Coach Larson. Just to have guys you can rely on there to help you out during all this, it had to be huge.
Yeah, I really kind of in my mentorship of being a head coach, I was always told to surround myself with smarter people. And I've been really lucky at Phillips to have the ability to surround myself with really smart men. And first and foremost, great role models and great men. And, we've had some turnover at times on staff, but overall we've had the main coaches have been stable for years. And that makes a huge difference in terms of stability within your program, and also sustainability. In the public league, it's really hard to build a program from the ground up like we've done at Phillips and sustain it. You have your traditional powers that stay the traditional powers because of the way the system is set up. But we've kind of gone against that trend and built up from the bottom. And now we've had a little bit of sustainability. And now it's hopefully just keep that rolling.
Is the wife dying to get rid of you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think you get real down. And then obviously with everything that's transpired, it's been a hard winter. When the governor, I say he moved the goalpost forward for us, and got rid of needing the vaccine to play. It was like excitement, but then it's like, oh wait, CPS, we got to wait for them. And then they started basketball, and it's like, okay, this is close. And then once they announced that we could play, I mean, I've just been jumping up and down, and obviously today we got practice at 4:30, and I got 2 more classes to get through after this, and it's just like ready to go. I got to get down, I got to get this, and even from just the standpoint of like getting stuff prepped for practice, it's different for us. And hopefully, if people saw the drive last year, this isn't going to the school, going to the back door. This is a process. So we'll have more hiccups as a coaching staff today than the players will, because it's just, we forgot about this, or and that's okay. I mean, at the end of the day, my first talk with the young men today just to be like, guys, we're here. Don't complain. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to screw up, but we'll eventually get it right. And
that could be a mantra for the entire. That could be a mantra for the entire state in IHSA football this year. Seriously, we already talked about it before we started recording. There is going to be cancellations. There are going to be schedule changes, location changes, date changes. There's going to be postponements. We're going to see the gamut of it, and everyone needs to be patient. And again, as you mentioned, just be grateful. I mean, you have 5 games to work with your kids this spring, and under the circumstances, I think everyone's grateful for it. So,
yeah, and I think you get in the Twitterverse and you see the negativity, and even within from some coaches, and I'm just like, as you just said, be grateful, enjoy the ones we have. This offseason, and the pandemic's just taught me to just enjoy life a little more and enjoy the moments, even if it means that we get a COVID case and we have a 2-week shutdown. Every practice and game that we get, it truly is and you just got to enjoy this time as much as possible, because it's been a long haul.
Yeah. And I think, and not that there wasn't an appreciation for having ball in the game, but after everything we've all been through and the kids have been through, it's going to be a different feel this spring. I really believe that it's going to be something that, both sides are going to be just so thrilled to be able to play. And I'm really excited to see and just kind of feel that vibe again, because I think it's going to be great. I really do. All right. Well, you got classes to go teach and everything else, so I will let you go. Always appreciate you picking up and being there, and can't wait to get to see you down the road here a little bit. And go have fun today, all right?
Thanks, AJ. Appreciate you having me.